Yet, what defines a war? Is it the clash of armies on a battlefield, the number of casualties, the high political stakes? We tend to think of war in terms of sound and fury, of decisive victories and devastating losses. But what if I told you about a war that had none of these? And yet, it is officially the longest war in human history, a conflict that lasted 335 years. For context, that's longer than the United States has existed. It began before the Great Fire of London and ended after the invention of the personal computer. But here's the real shock. Not a single shot was fired. Not a single person died. In fact, for over 3 centuries, no one was fighting at all. This is the story of the war that everyone, including the combatants themselves, forgot was still happening. Our story begins in 1651, a turbulent time in the midst of the English Civil War. The Royalist Navy, loyal to the defeated King Charles, was on the run. Their last stronghold was the remote Isles of Scilly, a small archipelago off the coast of Cornwall. The Dutch Republic, having allied with the victorious parliamentarians under Oliver Cromwell, had a bone to pick. Royalist privateers based in Scilly had been raiding their merchant ships, so they sent Admiral Martin Tromp to demand reparations. The cornered Royalists on Scilly refused to pay. In a fit of pique and perhaps as a show of force, Admiral Tromp declared war, but not on England itself. His declaration was aimed specifically and bizarrely at the tiny Isles of Scilly. Shortly after this grand declaration, the parliamentarian navy captured the islands. The Royalist threat vanished, and Admiral Tromp, his mission now moot, simply sailed away. The Dutch had no further interest in these rocky outcrops, but crucially, in the haste and confusion of the era, they never formally declared peace. And so a state of war technically existed, a legal fiction buried in paperwork. It persisted for years, then decades, then centuries. The Scillonians went about their lives, fishing and farming, entirely unaware of their official enemy. The Dutch Republic, meanwhile, entered its golden age, becoming one of the world's great trading powers, equally oblivious. The original reason for the conflict, reparations for a few ships, was lost to the history books. The war became a forgotten footnote, a piece of historical trivia if it was remembered at all. It existed only as a legal technicality, a ghost conflict lingering in the administrative shadows of 2 nations, long after everyone originally involved had turned to dust. The war might have lasted forever, trapped in a perpetual silent stalemate, if not for the curiosity of a local historian. In 1985, Dr. Roy Duncan, chairman of the Isles of Scilly Council and a keen historian, was researching the island's rich past. He stumbled upon the bizarre, almost mythical claim of this ongoing war. Intrigued and wanting to confirm this historical oddity, he reached out to the Dutch embassy in London. After digging through their own archives, the embassy officials were reportedly baffled, but ultimately amused to find that it was true. Seeing a wonderful opportunity for diplomacy, a bit of good publicity, and a chance to close one of history's strangest chapters, the Dutch government agreed to formally end it. And so, on April 17, 1986, the Dutch ambassador, Jonkheer Rijn Huidekoper, flew to the Isles of Scilly to make peace. A peace treaty was signed, finally bringing the 335-year war to an official end. The ambassador joked that it must have been horrifying for the Scillonians to know that for generations they could have been attacked at any moment. The war ended not with a bang, but with a handshake, a laugh, and a few headlines in the odd news column. It was a ceremony to correct a clerical error that had spanned the reigns of 13 British monarchs and seen the world transform around it. So, what does this teach us? That history is not just about great battles and famous leaders. It's also about the absurdities, the oversights, and the strange, quiet inertia of bureaucracy. It's about how a conflict can exist on paper without a single moment of actual conflict. It was the longest war, and also the most peaceful. A 335-year-long silence, mistaken for a state of war. What defines a war? Is it the thunder of cannons and the clash of steel? Is it the body count, the political stakes, the redrawing of maps? What if I told you about a war that had none of these? And yet it is officially the longest war in human history. A conflict that lasted an astonishing 335 years. For context, that's longer than the United States has existed. But here's the real shock. Not a single shot was fired. Not a single person died. In fact, for the vast majority of this war, no one was fighting at all. This is the bizarre, almost unbelievable story of the war that everyone forgot was still happening. Our story begins in 1651, in the final chaotic throes of the English Civil War. The Royalist cause was in tatters. Their navy, defeated and on the run, had retreated to the remote Isles of Scilly, a small archipelago off the southwestern tip of Cornwall. From this last bastion, they resorted to piracy, preying on merchant shipping. This piracy caused significant losses for the Dutch Republic, who were allied with the victorious parliamentarians. In response, they dispatched Admiral Martin Tromp with a fleet to demand reparations from the cornered Royalists for the damages to their ships and cargo. The Royalists, with little left to lose, refused. In a fit of pique and procedural necessity, Admiral Tromp declared war, not on England itself, but specifically and only on the Isles of Scilly. It was a targeted threat meant to force their hand. But history had other plans. Just weeks later, the parliamentarian fleet under Admiral Robert Blake arrived and captured the islands, ending the Royalist threat for good. With his objective now moot, Admiral Tromp simply sailed away. The Dutch had no further interest in these rocky outcrops, but crucially, in the haste and confusion, they never formally declared peace. And so a state of war technically existed, an unclosed file in the grand cabinet of European diplomacy. It persisted for years, then decades, then centuries. The Scillonians went about their lives, fishing the rich waters and farming the sparse land, entirely unaware of their official status as enemies of the Netherlands. The Dutch, meanwhile, entered their golden age, becoming one of the world's great trading powers. The original reason for the conflict was lost to the history books, a minor detail in a long-finished civil war. The war was a footnote, if it was remembered at all. It existed only as a legal technicality, a ghost conflict lingering in the administrative shadows long after everyone involved had turned to dust. The war might have lasted forever, trapped in a perpetual silent stalemate, if not for a curious local historian. In 1985, Dr. Roy Duncan, chairman of the Isles of Scilly Council, was researching the island's history. He stumbled upon the bizarre local legend of this ongoing 3-century-old war. Intrigued and wanting to verify this incredible piece of folklore, he reached out to the Dutch embassy in London. After digging through their own archives, the embassy officials confirmed it. They were reportedly baffled, but thoroughly amused. Seeing a wonderful opportunity for diplomacy, tourism, and some genuinely good publicity, the Dutch government enthusiastically agreed to formally end this phantom conflict. So on April 17, 1986, the Dutch ambassador, Jonkheer Reinhoedekoper, flew to the Isles of Scilly. A peace treaty was signed, finally bringing the 335-year war to an official and very amicable end. The ambassador joked that it must have been horrifying for the Scillonians to know that we could have attacked at any moment. The war ended not with a bang, but with a handshake, a laugh, and a few headlines in the odd news column. It was a ceremony to correct a clerical error that had spanned the reigns of 13 British monarchs and outlasted entire empires. So what does this teach us? That history is not just about great battles and famous leaders. It's also about absurdities, oversights, and the strange, powerful inertia of bureaucracy. It's about how a conflict can exist without conflict, a war without warriors. It was the longest war in history, and also the most peaceful. A 335-year-long silence, mistaken for a state of war.